Have you ever felt a deep longing in your heart, a void that nothing seemed to fill? This was Hannah's story. Hannah yearned to experience the joy of motherhood, but it remained an elusive dream. The pain of emptiness weighed heavily on her soul. Every year she watched other families celebrate, their happiness a painful reminder of her own unfulfilled desire. Hannah's husband, Elkanah, loved her dearly. He saw the pain in her eyes and tried to comfort her, but his words, though kind, couldn't erase the longing in Hannah's heart. Year after year they journeyed to the temple to offer sacrifices, and each year Hannah's heart broke a little more. One day, overwhelmed by her sorrow, Hannah sought solace in the temple. She poured out her heart to God, her tears flowing freely. She didn't pray for riches or fame, but for the one thing she desired most, a child. Hannah's prayer wasn't filled with eloquent words, but with raw, honest emotion. It was the heartfelt plea of a woman desperate for a miracle. It was a prayer whispered through tears, a prayer that echoed the cries of countless hearts longing for a dream fulfilled. As Hannah wept and prayed, Eli, the priest, observed her from a distance. He saw her lips moving but couldn't hear her words. Eli mistakenly thought Hannah was intoxicated. He approached her, concerned by her behavior. "How long will you stay drunk?" he asked. "Put away your wine." Hannah, startled, turned to face Eli. With tears streaming down her face, she explained her desperate plea. "I am a woman who is deeply troubled," she cried. "I've not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord." Hannah's heartfelt words touched Eli's heart. Realizing his mistake, he offered her words of comfort and a blessing. "Go in peace," Eli said, "and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him." Leaving the temple that day, Hannah felt a glimmer of hope. The weight of her sorrow seemed a little lighter. She clung to Eli's blessing, her heart filled with newfound faith. Even though she didn't know how or when, Hannah dared to believe that God had heard her prayer. Hannah returned home, her heart no longer consumed by despair. She continued to live her life, her faith carrying her through the days. Months passed, and Hannah discovered she was expecting a child. Overjoyed and humbled, Hannah knew this was a direct answer to her prayers. She named her son Samuel, which means God has heard. This beautiful name served as a constant reminder of God's faithfulness and the power of prayer. Samuel grew to be a healthy and happy child, bringing immense joy to Hannah and Elkanah. Hannah cherished every moment with her son, her heart overflowing with gratitude. She never forgot the pain of her past, the years of longing and tears. True to her promise, Hannah took Samuel to the temple to dedicate him to the Lord's service. She presented him to Eli, the priest who had blessed her years earlier. "I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him," Hannah said. Eli, remembering Hannah's heartfelt prayer, welcomed Samuel with open arms. He saw in this young boy the fulfillment of God's promise and the answer to a mother's persistent prayers. Samuel grew up in the temple, serving the Lord under Eli's guidance. He became a great prophet, leading the Israelites with wisdom and courage. Hannah's faithfulness, her unwavering belief in God's promises, had a profound impact not just on her life, but on the course of history. Hannah's story, though centuries old, still resonates with us today. We all face moments of despair, times when our hearts are heavy with unfulfilled longings. Like Hannah, we might find ourselves pouring out our souls in prayer, seeking solace and guidance. Hannah's journey reminds us that even in our darkest moments, hope remains. Her story teaches us the importance of persistent prayer, of never giving up on our dreams, and of trusting in God's timing. It reminds us that our pain is not in vain, that our tears are seen and our prayers heard. Like Hannah, we may not always receive immediate answers to our prayers, but her story encourages us to hold on to faith, to believe that even in silence, God is working in our lives. And like Hannah, when our prayers are answered, we too can experience the overwhelming joy of God's faithfulness and the fulfillment of His promises.